is loneliness. For 7 years, I was not allowed to see the moon and the stars. There were days where they left me all alone by myself. I had no reading material. I had nothing. I was twiddling my thumb. I would walk and walk and walk across my room. Just a room of about 4 meters by 5 meters. Hoping that I'll get tired. And then when I get tired, I will fall asleep. Knowing that tomorrow will be the same.
It was a learning process for him, learning to live in solitude and just being shut away from what the world was when he was such an extrovert.
Kang ganon, be practical. Talagang ganon Makibagay ka na napakalakas ka ng bagyo Ikaw lang ka mahihirapan diyan. Mag-isa ka diyan. Hindi balik ang ganon. Kung ayaw mo nang sumulat, tumawag ka na lang sa telepono, ibulong mo na lamang, ayos na. I would like to tell you that I was tempted in my almost 7,285 days in prison to do just that. I am only human. Ako po isang tao lamang. When my wife and children would visit me and they would leave me at dusk after 1 hour, I also would like to enjoy the embrace of my children and the peace of my home.
During his incarceration, where Ninoy had spent the most time with his children. Because before that, he was just so busy, and he would come home late at night, or maybe leave early in the morning, and the only time we had together with the children would be Sunday, because I made that a rule. Parang he felt a little guilty na when he had all the time. Well, when he was free, he could not take them out, and here they were coming. And I said, oh, kalimutan na yun, anyway, they're happy to be with you. And I think it was February 23 of 1973 when we were told by the authorities in Fort Bonifacio that our visits to Ninoy had been suspended.
They brought me to a mountain hideout in the Sierra Madre and placed me in a box. I had only my brief and my t-shirt. I refused to eat because I thought they were poisoning me. There was nothing in the room, barely nothing. And I had nothing to do but twiddle my thumb. And for the first time in my life, I heard the ticking of every second, and I was counting every second into minutes. And as the minutes marched into hours, and the hours into days, and days into weeks, I knew what loneliness meant.
It was April 8. Or April 7, the Supreme Court came out with this decision appealing to the authorities in Fort Bonifacio to allow Nena Diokno and me to visit our husbands. Colonel Ramos, who became General Ramos then, and he said, yes, we will take you to where they are. We couldn't tell anybody. Before leaving Makati, I passed by my parents' house, and I told my father that makakabisita yata kami kay Ninoy, pero hindi pa sinasabi kung saan. Then I told my younger sister, Pasi, Pasi, can you give me a tranquilizer? Dahil hindi ko alam kung sa kami dadalhin sige, ito. Then she gave me a tranquilizer, which I thought was similar to mine. So we went, and when we got to Fort Magsaysay, the lieutenant who accompanied us, Lieutenant Bueno, he was telling us that the Dioknos will go first, and then after 30 minutes, the Aquinos will go. So, nauna nga yung mga Diokno, and when they were coming out, nagulat kami dahil umiiyak yung mga daughters ni Nena. And we were surprised because alam naman na hindi naman iyakin yung mga Diokno. No? And so, my daughters were asking the Diokno girls, why, what happened? And you will know, sinabi nilang ganon. So, when we were ushered in, it was like a trapezoid. And so, of chicken wire. Then there was another, maybe 2 feet or 3 feet apart. So, we were told to stand there. Then Ninoy came. And he was standing also behind this chicken wire fence. And I could hardly recognize him because he had lost so much weight. And he kept holding onto his pants. Parang, later on, I found out that he had lost so much weight, he had to hold on to his pants because they had taken away his belt. And he had no eyeglasses. They had taken that away from him also. And what really made me feel so bad was when he saw us, he started to sob. It was the first time I saw Ninoy cry. And he said, akala ko hindi ko na kayo makikita.
And I want to tell you, my friends, until you have tasted this loneliness, you will not know what solitary confinement means.
When he was sobbing like that, my 3 older daughters, si Bol, si Pinky, and Belle, started crying also. Then he said, I don't know if this will be the last time I'll see you. And then I remember Bol said, no, Dad, don't worry, our luck is changing. I had never seen Ninoy, but ready to give up and really so helpless, which he never was before. And I was saying, hindi, Ninoy, basta magdasal na lang tayo. Then he thought of, ganito na lang, every 8 o'clock at night, you pray the rosary and also pray the rosary. So at that time, at least we know that we are praying for each other. So ako, sige, maganda nga yun. What was very surprising, and this is what Ninoy later on wrote in his diary, that he felt so ashamed and embarrassed that there he was sobbing and I was not crying at all. Of course, I didn't tell him until much later, Ninoy, binigyan ako ng tranquilizer na pala doble nung dating kino. Kanya talagang, parang ang tapang-tapang ko talaga, no tears, nothing. And I'm glad that at least at that time, parang one of us was still able to talk. Maybe it took, I would say, almost a year and a half or close to 2, when we finally accepted the fact that, yes, maybe we have not sinned or have not been as terrible as other people, but let us think of Jesus Christ, who certainly did no wrong, and yet he had to suffer and die for our sins.
I knew early on, and I discovered that there is a God who is just. Na merong isang Panginoon na ibibigay sa atin ang ating kagandahang ginawa at paparusahin tayo sa ating kamaliang nagawa rin. It is because of that faith in my divine Creator that sustained me all these years. All I had to do was call for a telephone that was outside my room. All I had to do was pick it up and tell Mr. Marcos, Brad, tapos na, ayos na, I'm throwing the towel.
If Ninoy had gone through maybe just a short time in detention, he would not have become the person that he became.
Before martial law, I believe in God. I mumbled the prayers like any other Catholic in the Philippines. But it was skin deep. You know, more or less superstition yun eh. But when I was brought to Laur, where I had my real great spiritual crisis in Laur, I started from the beginning and I disowned God.
In Ninoy's case, I think it really grew roots, and he really learned from that very difficult experience. But the best thing that happened to both of us, that we really became that much closer to the Lord, and that we believed that whatever happens, the best thing to do is to just entrust yourself and all your problems to the Lord.
So you should not lose faith. You know, this will all come. Magtanim ka, taanihin mo. Gumawa ka ng mabuti, iyo rin. Gumawa ka ng masama, iyo rin. And the Lord said, you know, vengeance is not yours but mine. In His own sweet time, aabutin niyo. That's why, to me, the greatest book that I've discovered here in my imprisonment is the book of Job. Yes. I keep on reading and rereading the book of Job because I feel that this is where the Lord taught mankind how to take adversity and vicissitudes. Diyan ka masusubok. And it's really very enlightening. And yet, you know, kung hindi ka mabibilanggo, hindi mo ma-appreciate eh. You know, you'll never really appreciate. I've read the Bible when I was out, but I really never appreciated it until I got in. And for which reason, I'm happy.